Hey guys, it's Samira here from Hobby Quest, and today we're going to be making the Unlimited. This is a really fun plane to do because you can do any type of shape that you want according to these diagrams. So if you look here, we have different diagrams. We have level 1, which is a beginner level, easy planes, level 2, which is an intermediate level, a little more challenging, advanced, and level 3, which is a little more challenging and an expert level to say. Now you can challenge yourself by doing any one of these planes, and they're really fun to do. So we're going to start off today with doing a level 1 plane. We're going to do this one over here, and you can see that it's kind of triangular on both ends and kind of looks like an hourglass. Now I also want to make a note that this plane over here is not recommended, but you can choose to do this one as well. So we're going to start off with our hourglass plane that's right over here, and we're going to build it. So now what we have here is we have a bunch of numbers. So we are going to follow these numbers on our pattern. So we have our pattern here, and I'm just going to take it and just take the pattern and kind of straighten out the piece of paper so that way it lies flat onto the table and doesn't flip upwards on me. Just going to lightly fold it. Now we have it flat. I'm going to take it and fold it this way as well, just so that everything is in place. Okay, so now if we follow our level 1 diagram over here, we can see that we have to use the numbers 1 to 3. So I'm going to take my marker over here and I'm going to highlight from numbers 1 to 3. So I'm going to straight highlight through. Now where you're highlighting is where you're going to be putting the sticks. Next, we're going to highlight from 3 to 7. So 3 is over here and 7 is over here. So I'm going to highlight 3 to 7. Make sure it's all along the stick so that I know that I have to put a stick in this area. Next, we're going to go from 7 to 5. So 7 is here and 5 is here. So I'm going to highlight all along 7 to 5. Next, we're going to go from 5 to 1. So 5 to 1. So 5 to 1 is here. And next, we're going to highlight 2 to 6, which is from the middle. Now, you're always going to use 2 to 6 in these planes because this is where you're going to attach your propeller and engine of the plane. So now that I've highlighted it, it's going to look like this. We have our hourglass. You're going to take your scissors and you're just going to take the highlighted part and cut all around it. So I'm going to just cut all around my highlighted part. I'm going to actually re-flatten my plane a little so that it doesn't jump up on me, and then continue cutting. So I'm cutting all along the highlighted lines. And this will produce the hourglass shape. So remember, on your diagram, it says exactly which numbers you're going to highlight. So you're going to highlight 1 to 3, 3 to 7, 7 to 5, 5 to 1, and then the 2 to 6 stick, which is the one you're going to highlight for most of them. It's through the middle. So I'm cutting along my highlighted line. Now you can also remember that during this time, you can color the pieces of this plane. You can do any amount of designs. You can keep it plain. It's up to you. So I'm going to just keep cutting all along. And now you can see I have an hourglass figure. Now again, you want to be careful. This part is a little fragile, so I'm just going to take my ends and kind of have them flatten out. So it stays flat. You can always do this against the edge of the table and it makes the paper flat. So now I have my hourglass figure. And I'm going to take my little propeller kit stick and I'm going to differentiate which sticks I'm going to use. So there's two types of sticks in this bundle. This is our propeller kit and this is our rubber band that we're going to be using later. Also, we have these sticks. Now, this is our hard stick. You can probably see that it's very hard to break and it's a little bit yellowish. This we're going to keep on the side next to our propeller kit for later. You want to make sure you're very careful not to use this one. So now I'm going to turn my paper over so that it's facing me and that I can see all of the numbers, okay? So you always want to start off with the lower number and then go to the higher number. So we're going to start off here. We're going to put our stick, measure it across the top, take our pen, mark the edge, and then slightly cut. And then you're going to take the stick, cut slightly on one end of the stick, cut slightly on the next side of the stick, and then it'll snap off if you keep doing that. I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to apply the glue to the stick, the wooden stick, and then I'm going to glue it down on the first part. So that's up top. Just as such. So here we go, we have our first stick. Next, we're going to do the other two triangular pieces as well. And we're going to measure them. You can see this is very soft and flexible and bendable, and this is called balsa wood. And this is different from the other stick because it's easy to cut and it's easier to use. The harder stick we use for our propeller as it helps move the plane up and down. So now I have my next piece of wood. I'm going to take my pen and lightly draw a line where it is ending, and then I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut on one side, rotate, rotate, cut again, and then slowly just break it off like that. I'm going to apply some glue to this stick. This is the second section. Number 2 over here, it's applied. And you can make the sticks a little tilted, as you can see some of them are kind of at an angle, but you can also keep them straight as well. So now I'm going to use this part of my stick, which I just used for the other half, and measure it as well. It's always good to go in order of the numbers because the higher numbers are going to have smaller pieces, and therefore you can use the pieces of the plane that you've used already, the pieces of the wood, to be used elsewhere. And this will give you an opportunity to have more wood if you ever need something in the end. Extra pieces, things break off. I'm going to apply the glue now. I'm going to attach it right here. And then I'm going to go on to my other pieces as well. I have my bottom one now. I'm going to mark it. Slowly cut around. And then if it's a little tougher like this stick, you want to keep cutting it around in a circle until it makes a serious dent. And there you go. I'm going to apply some glue to the stick. Apply it down so we can see it's starting to look like my hourglass figure. Now this is really cool because you can do any shape. I just chose to do the hourglass shape, but you can do any of these shapes and make it cool and original just to whatever you would like it to be. Next, I'm going to take my other stick and continue filling in the sticks. Now you want to make sure that this big line piece is one straight stick. You're not putting two different sections. So you want to keep an opening as such in the middle. And you want to do this with all of your planes, so that is where your hard stick is going to be attached to with your propeller. I'm going to measure the next part. And there we go. Next, I'm going to take this other piece of wood, which we had cut off, and just measure it, mark it, and then cut it and use it for my other side. Now, I'm pushing it down, and there we have our main parts. Now we have two more in each side, one on this side, one on this side, one here, and one here. So two more for each of these sides and these sides. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 sections of sticks we have left. So we'll need a total of 8 sticks because there are 2 in each section. So I'm just going to measure my sticks out. Now, since there's so many of these sticks, we just want to measure them out stick by stick to make sure that they're the exact accurate size. Now I'm going to take my glue, apply my glue. I'm going to cut my next one. So now I'm going to apply my glue. Now while doing this, it's good to use a placemat so that you have something to put the glue on so it's not getting on your table. You can also use a piece of paper, any kind of scrap paper as well as your placemat. So now I have all my pieces in place. And now I'm going to do this top part. You want to make sure that all the sticks match up so that they're at the junctions. I'm going to take my marker, pen. You can do it with a marker as well. It's really up to your discretion. You can use a pen, a pencil. Again, this is a tougher wood, so I'm just cutting it a bunch of times. I'm going to apply my glue. And just cut it a little more because it's a little long. Rotate it while you cut it. There we go. And we're going to just put it right there in its spot. Now we're going to take glue, put our next piece on. And finally put our last piece. These are too small, as you can see, so we don't want to use these. We want to measure it from the top. So, because we don't want any gaps in between these. So I'm going to just measure it here. cut it. Mark it. And there we have it. We've completed all our sticks except the middle. So I'm going to take my long stick, and this is our last stick. Almost there, guys. Marking it. I'm going to take my scissors, cut my stick, apply some glue. You can even use this piece of paper as a kind of placemat so you don't get glue on the table. And here we go, I'm sticking it down. Okay. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this aside to dry for a few minutes, and I'm gonna put my propeller together. So this is really important because this is when we use our hard stick. Now you can see it's very hard to bend and to snap. We're gonna take our propeller kit, open the pieces. We're gonna have our two propellers. We don't need this rubber band, but we will need this hook. We're gonna be using this rubber band instead. It's yellow and more durable. We also have a clear rubber band, but we're not gonna be using this as well. And we're gonna need this small white hook. We're going to take our fuselage, which is the propeller, and we're going to put it in to the bottom of this white hook. So this white hook has a hole. We're going to just place it right in. Now we're going to take the other piece that looks like this, apply it onto the top of the stick. Now this is very important. You want to make sure that this silver hook is facing the same way that this white hook is facing. So they should both be facing the same direction. So mine are both facing this way, as you can see. Now I'm going to take my propellers and slide them into this part, which is where the propellers are located, in the top of the fuselage, also the body of the plane. So I'm just slowly wedging them in. There's a small hole where the fuselage and the propellers will go right into. So I'm going to take the propeller and slowly wedge this in. And you want to be careful because these can snap and break, but you also want to make sure that they're snapped in place, because if you're flying the plane, these could come out by accident. Now I'm going to take my rubber band and I'm going to have both ends of the rubber band line up. I'm going to make a knot, so I'm going to make a circle with the rubber band ends together, put them together, and tie a knot. So here we have a nice sturdy knot at the end. I'm going to attach it to the bottom of my hook over here. So the rubber band end is going to go here, right where my hook is. I'm going to take both of these pieces of rubber bands and I'm going to slowly attach it to the top of this silver hook. There's a small opening in the silver hook. You're going to just slide both ends through and then reattach this part at the bottom to the end. You want to make sure the rubber band knot is not interfering in any way. So I'm going to slide it right in. And so now the knot is there and it's just on its own, and it has to be at the bottom. The rubber band knot has to be at the bottom of the hook because otherwise it will interfere with the flying of the plane. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my white Elmer's glue and put a little bit on the paper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly use my finger and I'm going to put a light dab of glue on my finger and just lightly put glue on each of the junctions where the sticks are connecting. So some over here, some over here. You don't want to put too much glue because it'll weigh the plane down. But everywhere where the sticks are connecting, you're going to want to put some glue. And you want to put it enough so that it stays secure, but not too much to weigh it down. So, some here. I'm going to put a little more glue on my paper. Not too much again. Just light dabs. Don't want it to be too thick. Now I have one at all of my edges. And now I'm going to take glue and put it all through this main stick, the main stick that runs through the hourglass. So I'm going to put a layer of glue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my plane, my fuselage. My plane is here and my fuselage. Now here's the fuselage. I'm going to put it right in the middle of the wooden stick that I just put glue on with the rubber band facing the sky. The rubber band can only be facing the sky if it's flat towards the side of the plane. It will not fly as well, and you will have trouble with any of the planes. The plane might not even fly at all if it's too tangled. So I'm going to just apply it normally as such and let it dry for about 3 to 4 hours, and then you can fly it, or you can take it the next day and fly it outside. Now make sure to not fly this outside on a tree or anything near trees because it will get caught. If anything does break, you can just apply some more white glue to fix it and it should be easy. And this is what our unlimited is going to look like. Now you can do any of these shapes here, but since I chose to do this one, it will look like this. And this was a simpler version, but you can do any of the amount of versions here and it'll be great to do. It'll be more complex and exciting. So now, when you're flying this plane, what you're going to do is you're going to turn the rubber band in a clockwise fashion. If you turn the rubber band in a counterclockwise fashion, it won't fly as well. So I'm going to just keep turning it. And you want to always do this once the glue is dry. So it's going to be a little challenging now to fly it because the glue is not dry, so it won't be able to fly. But as you can see, we have here some double knots as shown right here. So now you can see these double knots, and when you release the plane, the double knots will let it fly faster and harder and farther, and it will be amazing. Now, if you do triple knots, it will go even higher and faster and will fly for a lot longer. So the more knots you do by twisting the propellers in a clockwise fashion, you will be able to fly it harder, higher and faster. So here we have our unlimited, and it's going to fly once I release it. But I hope you enjoyed this activity and have a great quest.